I don't know, is it evil? Can it switch from good to evil? Can it confuse me? Could it decide to not tell me what it's doing because it learned to be deceptive? Did it read a book that told it, a spy novel where it learned how to deceive me? I don't have any context for that. So we're going to have to develop a theory of mind for these new systems, and it's going to be different. They're not human, they're not conscious, they're not copies of human brains.
That was Google's former CEO Eric Schmidt saying AI isn't conscious, but that doesn't mean businesses are comfortable handing over proprietary information to OpenAI's ChatGPT or other tools. And there are still regulatory hurdles around generative AI, including intellectual property and ethical use in the workplace. In fact, Vice President Kamala Harris is set to meet with executives from Google, Microsoft, and other AI leaders tomorrow to discuss the responsible development of artificial intelligence. For more on AI's potential risks and ethical use case, let's get to Mosaic ML co-founder and CEO Naveen Rao. Naveen, it's good to talk to you today. I want to start right there because if you think about AI as a whole, discussions about regulation have been ongoing for several years. Given the rapid developments that we have seen over the last several months, what do you think that regulation should look like?
Well, I think it's very early. The capabilities of these models are still being understood. Yes, they can make things up, they can hallucinate, all of this stuff, and we're still getting our heads around that. Now, to regulate is going to be a difficult problem today. But what we can do is solve this through technology to some degree. Getting people to have the ability to build and control models themselves. This is kind of what Eric in the previous clip was alluding to, is this capability has to be distributed amongst many people. It's hard to have it in one centralized place and then regulate it to a point where everybody agrees.
So where does Mosaic ML fall in all of this?
Yeah, so we give enterprises and potentially some individuals even the ability to train, fine-tune, and serve their own models. In fact, today we announced our inference service where we can serve open source models, including our own, or our customers' models that have been modified for their own use. We believe that AI is really a lens through which you can view data. And we want to give as many people access to that lens as possible. Privacy, cost, flexibility, these are things that are really important in the AI world. And we're just now understanding how to deliver that. But I think Mosaic has a great solution to enable the world that we want to create, where these capabilities are distributed.
What are some of those risks that you think potential users should be thinking about? It feels like AI, the word itself, has been such a buzzword over the last few months, but there's so many different forms, as you know. And what do you think that as consumers or users, what are the things they should be looking out for?
Yeah, I think one of the things with these centralized services is that when you put data into a centralized service, that data is leaving your premises, it's leaving your control. If someone trains a model on that data with a generative model, that data is now part of the model and can literally be prompted and revealed to anyone who uses that model. And I think this is a big problem that people don't seem to really get just yet, is that wherever your model goes, your data has gone, if that model has been trained with your data. Prompting, that has been very popular lately, is actually, whatever goes into the prompt goes to the central provider. That provider can choose to not use that data, but you're really relying on the assurances from them. There's not a good technology barrier to using that data for any other purpose.
We've seen the disruption on so many levels. Obviously, with ChatGPT, there's concerns about copyrights. There's concern about cheating in some level. We've heard from Arvind Krishnan over at IBM saying that he thinks AI will replace many of the jobs he has currently. And then, of course, even in the writer's strike right now, there are concerns about AI being source material for future content. When you think about all of that, where do you think this technology is going, and what are the key concerns?
Well, I think where it's going in a positive light is that it enables us to have tools to combine the creativity of humans over the last few hundred years, right? What things have been written down, we can combine in new ways and come up with new solutions. Come up with new stories that are combinations. Really, this is what creative humans do as well. So that's not so foreign. However, we do need to figure out the correct bounds of ownership of that data and IP. And really, this is the crux of the problem right now, is that some models have been released. They have, I would say, maybe not respected those bounds precisely, and use data that wasn't explicitly permissioned. This is rightly so a problem, right? Because these models are now putting out combinations of inputs that were not really permissioned for use. Arguably, a human can do similar things, and we have laws to sort these things out. But those laws are not really directly applicable to the new world of AI. And I think that's our biggest issue right now, is we have to figure out how to legislate around that, how to control ownership of different data, and how it's used. And we need tools to enforce those things. And that's what Mosaic ML brings.
So, Naveen, that brings us back to the earlier question I asked about where regulation should go right now. I want you to listen to what one guest who's seen as an expert on generative AI, what she had to say, and I'll ask you on the other end.
Fundamentally, the question is going to be, how do we regulate these systems and the companies that are building or have access to these generative models in a way that does not stifle innovation? Because I think by going the way perhaps that seems to be a little bit the trend in Europe, where you're just saying we're going to ban this, I think you would be making a massive error, because tremendous abundance is going to be engendered by these AI systems and models.
Naveen, you've just given us a number of examples here about how AI can be used for good. So going back to what Nina Schick said there, right there, I mean, how do you regulate this space in a safe way without stifling innovation?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard of, there's the 6-month ban, there's other things. The cat is out of the bag. You can't get people to stop thinking about how to build better systems here. I think providing technology solutions and tools to enable them to respect bounds of privacy. I think generally people would prefer to do that if they can. People want to move fast and get out in the market. I understand that. But at the same time, calling for bans of things is not the answer. The cat is out of the bag and people are going to build. It's really about, can we come up with frameworks for ethical use of data? Can we come up with ways of permissioning data to be used for training? Can we explicitly say, these models are only used for these particular use cases and not for particular other ones? So it really kind of becomes almost like a evaluation framework, like we do with humans, right? If you're a doctor, you have a license, a medical license, you're allowed to be a physician. If you don't have the medical license, you're not allowed to. We need to do similar kinds of things for different sorts of AIs. There has to be an evaluation framework to actually say what the bounds of correctness are, what the bounds of data that has gone into them is, and how they should be used responsibly.
Finally, Naveen, I want you to, talk specifically about this launch you have today. You've described this offering as one that is, number one, more cost efficient. It brings the cost down, but also sort of a safer way to go about this. Talk to me about that and how it stacks up against what else is out there.
Yeah, so as I said at the beginning, the ability to build your own models and do it in a way that is a technology boundary to where your data can go is very, very important to us. We've, from the start, built tools that enable folks to train their own models within their cloud tenancy. Their data never leaves. It stays within their tenancy. We actually never see it. They can build models. The model at the end of that is owned by them, whether that means that it's fine-tuning an existing model or building one from scratch. It's completely owned by them. And we actually even build tools to enable serving that model, so they can build their own sort of applications like ChatGPT on top of it. And I think this is more how we want to see. These are tools that enable us to respect those bounds of data ownership. We give data owners the capability to build models and control them and modify the behavior. And today we're announcing our inference service. Right.
You're certainly right at the center of what is considered one of the hottest spaces right now. Naveen Rowe, Mosaic ML founder and CEO. Appreciate your time today.